From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News, Philadelphia. Now at 11, bracing for Tropical Storm Ophelia. Coastal flood warnings are in effect for the Jersey Shore and Delaware beaches. The impacts of this storm go well beyond the coast. Our entire region will be dealing with heavy rain and gusty winds. Good evening, everyone. I'm Yuki Washington.
I'm Jessica Cartalia. Today was all about preparing for the storm. At the Jersey Shore, officials are concerned about beach erosion as Ophelia is expected to create dangerous surf. Many events have already been canceled. Even Lucy the Elephant will be closed tomorrow.
Right now, though, we have you covered. New information on Ophelia's track is in. Let's start with Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelly.
Yeah, guys, and let's get right to it. It's just coming down now. I'm looking at the data. Not much has changed. Certainly the location has, but let's walk on over. Let me get you positioned. 70 miles per hour. That is the sustained wind speed. And that's where we were at 8 o'clock earlier, too. Just shy of a hurricane. Just barely shy of a hurricane here. Gust to 85. We're 70 miles now south of Cape Lookout, North Carolina. I want to show you the track, the bigger picture here, the track as we make our way up to the north. I'm going to give you the detailed hour-by-hour forecast as we get closer to this. But notice it's going to continue to push closer to our region as we get into the day on Sunday. Now, that is the heart of the storm. We're going to see the impacts far, far earlier than that. So your weekend storm details look like this. The rain is going to begin after midnight in our area. Heavy rain for you during the day tomorrow, 2 to 4 inches of rain likely. So, of course, we're talking about flooding. We're also talking about the problems potentially with the winds. 30 to 40 miles per hour Saturday. Sunday, those gusts are going to be 20 to 30, so not quite as strong on Sunday, but they're going to be around. Now, this is for the Philadelphia area and all the surrounding region. Temperatures, too, in the mid-60s. It's going to be pretty raw. Let's focus on the shore. That is where we're going to have the biggest of the impacts. Localized flooding with rainfall 4 inches or more going to be possible. In addition to that, those winds are going to be up to 50 and even 60 miles per hour. They're expected. We have a high wind warning that is in place. And then in addition, we have the coastal flood warnings that are up 1 to 3 feet of storm surge flooding, especially around high tide. The second high tide during the day is going to be around 2:30, 2:45, depending on where you are. So that's going to be when everything is going to be the highest. It will happen again in a few hours, but it's the one tomorrow afternoon that we're really going to be focused in on. So it's those things that we'll watch over the weekend. Coming up, I'm going to show you the local hour-by-hour forecast, and we're going to break that down in terms of the wind and the rain. There's a lot on the plate tonight. We'll send it over to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. At the Jersey Shore, emergency management officials say they are prepared for the flooding that will likely come with the heavy rain, and the wind is already picking up. As CBS News Philadelphia's Carrie Corrado found in Ocean City.
Before the heavy rain and wind rolls into the Jersey Shore, we found a few families who were taking advantage of the thrill before the storm.
It literally became a ghost town as soon as we walked up here.
The Ocean City boardwalk looked far from crowded Friday night, and the wind whipped up and down it.
Getting exercise through the wind, basically. Having some fun.
A few people enjoyed one last stroll through the salty air before the storm moves in.
We're always looking for an adventure, and I said, come on, let's go up to the boardwalk and have some fun on this windy night.
It is really windy. I can't really see anything. It's pretty windy right now.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun though.
Others took a drive down to see the rough surf for themselves.
We came down here so we could see the waves.
It was like a desert, like how you picture a desert during a storm with all the sand blowing up.
Not far away along the shoreline in Atlantic City, white-capped waves crashed onto the beach. The Atlantic City Office of Emergency Management says they have been preparing for the storm for the last several days.
I wanted to let the residents of Atlantic City know one thing. Please take this storm seriously. It is going to be bad, and we want everyone to be safe.
Officials say they expect some flooding in the Back Bay areas and have their water response and rescue equipment ready to go.
It's not if, it's when. We are going to get hit with some pretty bad conditions.
In Margate, Lucy the Elephant will be closed Saturday for the safety of staff and visitors. But whether you hunker down or storm chased Friday night,
anything is fun being with the grandkids.
Officials say they can't say it enough that they want everyone to be prepared for the storm, especially when it comes to the tidal flooding and power outages. In Ocean City, Carrie Corrado, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Our morning team will have the up-to-the-minute track of Ophelia starting tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And our meteorologists will be tracking the storm around the clock. You can see radar and get the latest forecast even when we're not on television. It's all at cbsphiladelphia.com/weather. We continue to track Tropical Storm Ophelia. Right now, the storm is headed into North Carolina, but it's already kicking up the surf along the Jersey Shore. This is a live look now at Margate, Atlantic County. Storm surge is a big concern for tomorrow.
Boy, that is looking rough right there.
Yeah, the seas are going to be way up there. Waves are going to be measured in feet. You got storm surge 1 to 3 feet, the coastal flooding during high tide. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, if you didn't see it tonight, I just want to show you the beauty before the storm. How about that sunset? And actually, after I snapped that photo, like another 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5 later, it was even nicer. I was like, oh my word. So beautiful out there. Yeah. 6:58, by the way, is when the sun went down tonight. That's it for the 7 o'clock sunsets until next March, at least 7 or later. So here is the storm. It's still well off to our south, churning about a very clear center of circulation. The outer reaches of that starting to make their way into our region. Notice here, we got a couple of rain showers now down around Atlantic City, moving up through Kent County into Dover. Nothing of significance right now, but watch what happens as we go through the overnight hours. I want to walk you through the localized futurecast. This has been pretty consistent. We've been telling you out the door tomorrow morning, expect it to be raining. And some spots, indicated by the yellows and the oranges, could have some heavy rain. The winds will be around, the rain will be around pretty much all morning long. Here's 9 o'clock, here's noon. Notice that there will be some parts that have some breaks here and there. I don't think it's going to be raining over your home continuously for 36 hours, but you'll get heavy rain. It'll last maybe hours. Then you'll get a little break, and then another wave will move through. You'll get some light rain to some moderate rain, then potentially a little break here and there. But I mean, look, we're all the way down to 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Let me pause this 24 hours from now, dealing with some rain to the north, dealing with some rain to the south. A little bit of a lull in the activity before the second wave moves through Sunday. We wake up Sunday morning to rain. It rains most of the morning on Sunday. If you had any planned Sunday morning, it's going to be pretty much canceled or at least seriously impacted with the rain and the wind. But the difference with Sunday is, notice these lines, the wind lines. The low pressure itself actually moves through our region, which will taper things off by Sunday night. But as it does, our winds will lessen. Rain. It's going to be a widespread 2 to 3 inch rainmaker through a good portion of our area. A little bit less, you folks off to the west, a little bit more, you folks to the east. In fact, some spots down the shore could see over 4 inches of rain. Now, this is not law. This is a forecast model, but it's been pretty consistent with that 2 to 3 inch rainfall total up and down the I-95 corridor with 4 or more inches over down the shore. So your storm disruptions, what will impact you? Travel delays, huge. Big impact, I'm sure. Travel, whether it be a car or your flights, that's all going to be high impact. Power outages, moderate impact. So make sure you are prepared for that. Charge your devices tonight. There's nothing going on out there right now. Get that done in case your power goes out. Sports delay, sure. The Phillies tomorrow afternoon, I think that's unlikely. Pat, did they cancel? They didn't cancel that game yet, did they? Not yet. Okay. They probably will. Flying debris, we'll call that low, but with the winds going around, gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour, that's going to be problematic. And then last but not least, the temperatures. We're topping out in the mid to low 60s. All that in the low 60s. It's going to feel pretty raw. 68 down the shore, 57 for the Lehigh Valley. So obviously we are on weather alert for our day tomorrow. Sunday, while rainy, and I walked you through that, not quite as windy, not quite as bad as tomorrow. We're going to keep some showers in there for Monday and Tuesday, guys. Well, midweek, things will be a little bit nicer, but just know that we're going to be here all day tomorrow covering the storm.
Thank you, sir.
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. Now at 5 o'clock, a live look at Atlantic City. The first day of fall roars into our region with heavy rain and strong wind thanks to Tropical Storm Ophelia. Waukesha.
That's right. Mother Nature has made its way down the shore. The big question this morning is, how long will this rain last, and will a lot of these coastal communities flood?
And you see the driving rain there in Waukesha shot. Also, the driving rain is impacting the roads. This is new video from I-95 where you can see conditions. They're already deteriorating.
Not a great start to our weekend at all. Today is Saturday, September 23rd. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Carabeo.
And I'm Howard Monroe. With these nasty conditions, the weather team has declared today a next weather alert day. Let's get right on over to meteorologist Tammie Souza with a look at your next weather forecast. Hey, Tammie.
Well, good morning to you, Howard. Good morning, Jan. We are looking at the tropical impacts that are going to be with us not just today, but tomorrow and even into Monday now. This is going to be a long, extended event. Let's take a look at exactly where Tropical Storm Ophelia is now, 70-mile-an-hour winds. We are starting to see the rain bands really increase as they move across the area, and this will be the case for much of the day. I'm not saying we won't get a few breaks. We certainly will, but I would plan on periods of very steady rain and at times heavy rain. We're going to wind up perhaps with several inches of rain just today, and then we're going to add more tonight and tomorrow. Here's a look at Ophelia. Has not made landfall yet. Very close to the North Carolina coastline. Right now, 25 miles southwest of Cape Lookout. It is moving to the northwest at 9 miles an hour, so we are expecting a landfall perhaps as early as 8 o'clock this morning. Now, it has 70-mile-an-hour winds. Will it strengthen to hurricane strength? I don't think so. They just came out with the 5 o'clock update. Looks like it will remain a tropical storm. It does have gusts to 85 miles an hour, just dumping copious amounts of rain, though, on the Carolinas and up into Virginia. And that, again, is pushing in our area, pushing a lot of that water in our area. We are looking at the winds right now because that's going to be a big concern. And this is right now the wind gusts that we have seen, 43 miles an hour in Atlantic City, 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts so far in Wildwood, 31 in Philadelphia. This is going to increase as the day wears on. We have a very tight pressure gradient out there between high pressure to the north and that storm to the south, and it's just funneling the air in out of the north and the east. The sustained winds, 17 miles an hour in Philadelphia, 24 in Atlantic City. But you notice the winds coming in out of the northeast, it will be pushing all that water on shore. So that is what they're so concerned about with the flooding and the storm surge at all the shore points. So let's track out what's going to happen as we head through today. Here we are in the afternoon. It is still a tropical storm. It's a tropical storm early tomorrow morning as it is approaching D.C., but then it actually diminishes down to just a remnant low as it crosses our area. But again, we are still right there in that cone. So depending on which area of the cone it tracks to, this side, right down the middle, that will dictate what type of impacts we're going to see. So along the coast, we're looking up to 3 feet of coastal flooding on top of the high tide this afternoon, 3 to 5 inches of rain, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and 5 to 9 foot waves with beach erosion. We'll talk more about what we're going to see where you live when I come back in just a few minutes. Jan, Howard?
Tammie, thank you. We have team coverage of this storm. Not only are we live along the shore, Ross DeMattei is live in Wilmington tracking the conditions there.
But first, let's get right on over to Waukesha Bailey, who's on Atlantic Avenue. Waukesha, it's not the best weather day. We can tell from your shot right there.
Good morning, Howard, Jan. You know what? If you don't have to come outside this morning, I suggest you not. Go back into your home, relax, and watch us do all the work out here. Now, we've been out on these roads since about 3 o'clock this morning, and as you all mentioned, we're here on Atlantic City, and you can see just how windy it is. You can even hear the winds right above. You're seeing these trees just blow, and you know what? This has been what it's been like all morning, and this rain has really been coming down nonstop. I'm hoping my hat actually stays on. Now, a lot of the officials here in Atlantic City, they have been making sure that people are prepared for this storm and to not take this, lightly, because it is very serious. And of course, like with every storm, there are always those storm chasers. And you know what? We spoke with some of them at the boardwalk yesterday, and they were out there before things got really hectic.
They're always looking for an adventure, and I said, come on, let's go up to the boardwalk and have some fun on this windy night.
It is really windy. I can't really see anything. It's pretty windy right now. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun though.
Now, we haven't seen too many cars out here on the roads this morning, but I will say if you are out here, take your time. But some of these areas, just like in this one little parking lot, you're starting to see the water kind of be more in a standstill. Now, I can walk through this water because I actually have on my rain boots this morning. So if you do have to head out, I would definitely do it. But if we take one more look, you can just see how deep this water is right now. And you guys, it's only been raining since about 3 o'clock this morning. So who knows what this parking lot is going to look like in a couple of hours. Jan, Howard.
All right, my guess is only going to get a little worse than that. All right, Waukesha, you and your photographer, thank you so much. Meantime, with the storm approaching from the south, people in Delaware, they have already seen heavy rains from overnight. CBS News Philadelphia's Ross DeMattei is live along the riverfront in Wilmington with the latest conditions there. Ross.
Hey, Howard, good morning. Yeah, this is normally a really peaceful, pleasant place. A lot of people like to walk up and down the Christina River along the riverfront here on the boardwalk and just enjoy some of the local art, entertainment, and dining that Wilmington has to offer. This morning is probably not the best morning for that. You can already see that the rain is coming down pretty consistently. That's been the case over the last few hours, although I will say there have been a few breaks. They've been few and far between, though. We don't expect many of them going forward. You can see some of the rain dancing here along the boardwalk in Wilmington. The other major factor that I want to draw your attention to is the wind. It's calm right now, but I will say every few minutes you get one of these big gusts, and they'll catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. I don't want to give you a miles per hour. I'll leave that to Tammie, Souza, and our expert meteorologist, but I will say that, my photographer and I were driving down to Delaware this morning, and every once in a while, we would catch one of those gusts on the highway, and it would move our entire live truck over along the highway, which, of course, can be somewhat dangerous. So my best advice, like what Keisha said, if you don't have to be on the roads this morning, just stay home. And if you do have to be on the roads, I would suggest both hands on the wheel, gripping tightly, because this wind is really no joke out here, guys. We'll continue to bring you updates live from Wilmington all morning long. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
A day for indoor activities if you can. All right, Roz, thanks so much. Appreciate that live look there. Now, the U.S. National Hurricane Center says Tropical Storm Ophelia is expected to make landfall along the North Carolina coast this morning with the potential for damaging wind and dangerous storm surge. This is video right here from Avon, North Carolina, late yesterday, where you can see the 70-mile-per-hour wind and flooding on the roads. Of course, our team of meteorologists will be tracking this storm around the clock. You can see radar and get the latest forecast even when we're not on TV. It's all right there on our website, cbsphiladelphia.com/weather.
Time is now 5:15. It wasn't so bad earlier this morning when I got in, but it is now.
Well, it's just consistent. It's constant rain just coming down in waves, and it's going to add up. It's already making a mess on the roads, and the wind is starting to pick up. We saw that with Waukesha and with Ross.
Right.
And
it was just raining when I walked in the door. It wasn't quite windy yet.
Yeah, the wind started last night too. I'm sure a lot of our viewers at home, I did. I saw the trees bending, and it really did. It did have a tropical feel to it. Very different than when we just have a regular storm system coming in, and that's what we're dealing with here. And that's why this is of more concern. If it was just a coastal storm that's chugging along, but when it takes on tropical characteristics, it actually has a different core. It actually pulls in a bit more moisture. It can dump a bit more moisture, especially as slow as this thing is moving. So that's our concern. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on right now with Ophelia, and we are looking at those bands making their way across the area. Again, we just saw Waukesha and Ross, and it wasn't raining heavily, but it had been. So again, we'll see these waves that are going to be moving across where you are. Now, we will get some breaks, I think, throughout the day, but I do think that as this heavier rain, and you can see it denoted by some of these shades of yellow, makes its way into the area. Right now, Cape May seeing some heavier rain. We are going to be looking at a lot of ponding, some localized flooding. We're going to have flight delays today. We're going to have all kinds of things going on, and a lot of activities have already been washed out. People are pretty smart. They're saying, you know what, we're not going to deal with this. We're not going to deal with wet everything outside, so indoor activities are good. If you have to drive around, leave extra time, and please be extra cautious. Here's a look at what's going on with Tropical Storm Ophelia right now. 70-mile-an-hour winds, gusts to 85 miles an hour. Now, this is moving to the north at 9 miles an hour. It is only about 25 miles southwest of Cape Lookout, so it'll make landfall, it looks like, by perhaps 8 o'clock this morning. This is probably not going to strengthen any further to a hurricane, simply because the latest update is in and it doesn't look like it has that potential. But we'll have to wait and see over the next couple of hours. Again, you can see the amount of moisture that it is pulling in off of the Atlantic, and that will be the problem for us. It's moving slowly, it's pulling the moisture in, it's pulling the moisture in ahead of it, and it's coming in out of the north and the east. So we're looking at these winds as the secondary problem. Now, down the shore, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts today are going to be very possible. Across Philadelphia and up into lower Montgomery, Bucks, into Delaware County, Chester County, and a lot of South Jersey and Delaware, we're looking at wind gusts that could be anywhere from 30 to 50 miles an hour. You get up toward the Poconos and the Lehigh Valley, a little bit lesser. You'll see the rain, but you will not see quite the impacts that you will see the closer you get to the shore, the bigger the impacts will be. Now, this is what we are expecting: disruptions in travel. We could have flight cancellations and delays. Call ahead if you're going to be flying or picking somebody up that would be arriving. We are going to be looking at some power outages. That's a moderate level of that, simply because of the winds blowing things around, branches, trees, things like that will be down. Sports delays, event delays, yeah, that's all out there already. A lot of stuff has been canceled. I would assume that the Phillies game probably has been canceled. If it isn't already, it likely will be. And flying debris out there with some of the wind. It's on the low side, but we're going to have to keep an eye out for that. Here's a look at all of these alerts. These are the tropical alerts. The blue, tropical storm warning. Now that's south of our area, but we do have a storm warning all along our shorelines, and this actually includes a 1 to 3 foot storm surge on top of our high tide this afternoon. So we are looking at this through about 6 o'clock this evening. This tropical storm warning to the south is until Monday. Look at the storm surge warning to the south of us, 2 to 4 feet above normal. Here's our coastal flooding concern. It looks like our high tide today between 2 and 3 will be key. That's when we could see that surge about 3 feet above ground on top of the high tide. A lot of flooding will be taking place at the shore points. And then we have the wind. The brown is the high wind advisory. That's up to 50-mile-an-hour gusts, but all the gold along the coast here, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts are going to be possible. Finally, we're looking at the severe weather threat. That's moved a little further north. The southern half of Delaware and Cape May, yes, you could be looking at some gusty storms out there. There will be spin in the atmosphere, and that means there is a low-end tornado threat for you in those areas south and east of Philadelphia. And the yellow represents the flash flooding threat. I just want you to be aware of that, because all of this ponding and the rain coming down very quickly could lead to some of that. So you need to stay aware all day today. We're going to be with you all day today, too. We're going to be here all day long, in and out, our whole team of meteorologists. Guys, back over to you.
All right, Tammie, thank you.
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. Today is Saturday, September 23rd, the first day of fall. Good morning, everyone. I'm Howard Monroe.
And I'm Jan Carabeo, and we are tracking heavy rain and strong wind from Tropical Storm Ophelia on this first day of fall. Meteorologist Tammie Souza is here with your next weather alert forecast. And Tammie, we've already seen it coming down and very windy in some places across our area.
And we'll be measuring the rain in inches. I think when it's all said and done, between 2 and 4 inches, with some pockets higher than that, especially toward the shore. And we're looking at these wind gusts that could get up there in that 40, 50, 60-mile-an-hour range, which is actually going to be bad. Power lines can go down. We're going to see a lot of debris blown around. We've already heard from Waukesha and Ross how they're battening down the hatches anywhere down the shore and anywhere south and east of Philadelphia. We'll hear more from them coming up. But let's take a look at what's moving across the area now. You can see the heaviest rain is now beginning to enter places like Dover, Cape May. We're looking at a heavier rain. It's denoted by these shades of orange and yellow, and you can see that band is going to come through, bringing us very steady rain through the morning hours. But we do have a few breaks that may pop up from time to time. Just telling you, you're probably not going to get any outdoor activities in, but you likely will be able to dash out and do something. I think you really need to plan on indoor plans for today, and we're going to have a lot of disruptions and cancellations as the day wears on. We've already had some. Here's a look at Ophelia right now. It is a tropical storm, not likely to strengthen to a hurricane because it's very close to landfall, probably within the next hour or two. We are looking at 70-mile-an-hour winds with these gusts to 85 miles an hour. The problem is it's pulling in all of this moisture around it. So we are on the northern side of that. It's very slowly going to move north, and it's pushing all of that ahead of it. So all of that rain is ahead of it. It's pulling in all of the wind off of the ocean, and it's also got some spin. So when you see this coming in this direction, it hits land, it creates friction, and then you end up with spin. So we're going to be looking, perhaps at least in southern Delaware and Cape May, at the potential for low-end spin-ups, maybe a brief tornado taking place. So we have to keep an eye on that. Right now, we're looking at the wind gusts that are in the 40 to 45 mile an hour range down the shore in Philadelphia, 31 mile an hour wind gusts, 35 in Dover. Again, coming in from the north and the east, that's piling the water up along the shore, which is not good news. We are looking up to 3 feet of coastal flooding. We're looking at a storm surge there. That's on top of a high tide that takes place today between 2 and 3. So about 2 hours before the high tide and 2 to 3 hours after the high tide is where we will see this additional 3 feet of water, and that's why there's so much concern about that flooding, especially all the roadways down the shore. We're looking at 3 to 5 inches of rain, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts down the shore, 5 to 9 foot waves, 15-foot open seas, and a lot of beach erosion is going to be taking place out there. So across the region today, it will be a chilly one. It will feel like the 50s. It'll be raw and wet, 61 and windy and wet in Philadelphia, 68 down the shore with that high wind and the rain, and 59 for all of you in the Lehigh Valley. I'll be back in just a few minutes, and we will track out the rain for you hour by hour. Howard, Jan?
All right. Thank you, Tammie. And we have team coverage of this storm. We're live in Delaware. Ross DeMattei is live in Wilmington, tracking the conditions there. But first, Waukesha Bailey, she's live in Atlantic City. Waukesha.
Good morning, Howard. Well, the rain has lightened up within this last half hour. However, it's the wind that's really now becoming a major story. So we're just going to show you just how these trees are moving. And as you can see, this wind is definitely picking up. And you got to feel so bad for people who are making their way to work, as some people do not have a choice but to wait for the buses or however they're going to get to public transportation. As you can see, these people are trying to get to some shelter. Now, we have been out on these streets since about 3 o'clock this morning, and this really has been it. It's been a lot of rain, a lot of winds, and then when you mix that with these cooler airs, we're definitely feeling the impact of Storm Ophelia. Now, emergency crews are reminding people and officials to take this storm seriously.
I wanted to let the residents of Atlantic City know one thing. Please take this storm seriously. It is going to be bad. And we want everyone to be safe.
Not if, it's when. We are going to get hit with some pretty bad conditions.
And once again, now you're looking at Atlantic Avenue here in Atlantic City. And when we talk about Mother Nature has definitely made her way down to the shore, you can definitely just see the impact of this storm. Right now, you are seeing a lot of trees blowing. And of course, people, they do have places to go and get to. But if you do not have to leave your home, I would definitely take advantage of being inside. Like you, Jan, Howard, how's it feel?
I'm sorry about that, Waukesha, but you are right. That wind is driving the rain sideways. We were talking yesterday about how you were going to navigate those conditions. Clearly, you can't use that umbrella out there this morning.
No, and so that's why I have a visor hat on, but that's not working either. And I just watched Ross, and he looks pretty good too. So I'm not sure what's happening this morning.
How did he get the shift down in Wilmington? Thanks, Waukesha. Let's check in with him, shall we? Let's see how he's doing out there with the storm approaching from the south. People in Delaware have already seen that heavy rain. And now, as we mentioned, Ross had the umbrella. Maybe not the best choice, Ross.
Yeah, not the best choice, guys, right now. I'll say this, if anyone's thinking about taking a Saturday morning stroll along the riverfront, might want to reconsider those plans. My poor umbrella. Absolutely toast. I'll bill that to the station, guys. Yeah, the wind has been a major factor this morning. I mean, we were driving along I-95, my photographer Kyle and I, and we were getting blown all over the highway. So the wind is no joke, and it's really not consistent. It's really every couple of minutes you get one of these big gusts that all of a sudden catches you off guard and can blow you over the road or can ruin an umbrella like you see here. Then you couple that with the rain, and it's really hard to be out in these conditions because that swirling wind is making the rain change directions all over the place. And it's causing some havoc here, as you can clearly see. I really wasn't bringing this out for practical effect. It was more to show you guys the wind that we're dealing with. And wow, on cue, just totally upended my umbrella and did quite a bit of damage. So I think we're going to go dry off, guys, and kind of reconsider our game plan here because we're not going anywhere. We're going to show you the live conditions from what was Tropical Storm Ophelia here in Wilmington throughout the course of the morning. But for now, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Ross, thank you so much. Go get yourself a new umbrella. All right, thank you.
Will do.
Well, it was certainly better weather yesterday.
Yes.
For that event.
Good thing they had that yesterday, not today.
Goodness, yeah, so many events canceled.
So many events,
and
yeah.
people were waiting. They're like, really? Is it really going to be that bad? I actually got an email from someone that said, okay, we're canceling the event because of the apocalyptic rains. So I mean, I think people are frustrated and they have a sense of humor with it too. But.
You know what I did today?
What? You got a pocket square?
I got a
red.
real pocket square, but I also rode my bike here because it wasn't raining, and now.
Well, you're stuck here now.
Yeah.
You just work all day.
Can I have a ride home?
If it fits in the trunk of my car, absolutely, Howard. I'll always leave the bike here and then we'll take you home. Yeah, don't be like Howard. You've got to listen to the meteorologists. I mean, our whole team here has been warning you for days about this. We even told you it'd be a tropical storm before it was named as a tropical storm. People are like, no.
Well, you should ask my mom about that because I can be hard-headed.
We don't need to ask her, Howard.
I'll get you a next weather rain poncho. Let's go down the shore. I don't want to digress. What we're looking at now is we are looking at the raindrops falling on the lands. This is Ocean City. Still dark out there. We're a ways from our sunrise, but the rain is coming down steadily, and especially down the shore at this point. Take a look at this. This is our next weather radar. Now you can see the light green spreading across. That's been the light rain so far, but look at these shades of yellow coming in. That is a heavier heavier rain. That's where we just saw Ross. It's approaching Wilmington. We also have Waukesha down in Atlantic City about ready to get drenched. But these are the heavier bands, and we'll see these periodically moving throughout the day. Here is where Ophelia is now. Not likely going to upgrade to a hurricane, but it is a tropical storm. It is a high-end tropical storm. 70-mile-an-hour winds moving to the north at about 9 miles an hour, slightly north-northwest. Landfall within the next hour or two, and it will stay a tropical storm throughout the day today. I think start downgrading tomorrow. It doesn't even cross our area until Monday. Here is that track. Look at this. It will make landfall. Then by tomorrow, early in the morning, still a tropical storm passing Norfolk and then into the D.C. area, approaching our area as we head into Sunday afternoon. But then it downgrades to just a tropical remnants as it passes overhead. Still a lot of rain and a lot of wind. It's just a minutia of from a tropical storm to tropical remnants or tropical low. Here we go. I'm going to kind of track out what's going on so you can plan your day. I think that this is a little conservative. It starts out right with that heavier rain down the shore and across Delaware, but I really don't think that we get this nice big bold break. I think we will have some breaks, but I think we're going to have steady rain throughout the day. Here we go, 5 o'clock, another push of that heavier rain. 8:30 tonight, we have scattered bands of that heavier rain. We get into midnight and we maybe get some breaks, but scattered bands of heavier rain move in between midnight and 5 a.m. This continues at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Watch as we go into the afternoon, starting to perhaps get a break down the shore. But look at this. We have some heavier rain from Philadelphia north and west, and this continues into early on Monday. I think some scattered showers are possible Monday. Again, this is just a forecast model. I think we see steadier rain than what is portrayed here. Here are the impacts we're going to deal with. 2 to 4 inches of heavy rain in Philadelphia with a flood threat. Gusty winds of 30 to 50 miles an hour and just a lot of travel and event cancellations. We are looking in the suburbs. We're talking about Bucks, Montgomery. We're talking about Camden, Gloucester. We're talking about Delaware, Chester counties, Burlington County. Wind gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour, 2 to 3 inches of heavy rain with localized flooding and scattered power outages because of that wind. As we head to the Lehigh Valley, wind gusts from 20 to 40 miles an hour. We're looking at 1 to 3 inches of rain with localized flooding, slippery roads, and events will be canceled there as well. And finally, down the shore where the worst of all this is going to be, 1 to 3 foot surge with coastal flooding, 3 to 5 inches of rain, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and 5 to 9 foot waves with beach erosion out there. The high today only 61, but it's going to feel like the 50s. Tomorrow, 67, and it'll feel like right around 60 degrees with the wind out there. Guys, back over to you.
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. Now at 6 o'clock, a live look down the shore. This is Atlantic City this morning. The first day of fall, folks, roaring into our region with heavy rain and strong wind, all thanks to Tropical Storm Ophelia. Waukesha.
That's right. Mother Nature has definitely made its way down here into Atlantic City. And as you can see with this heavy downpour, many residents are questioning, will their communities flood?
And the driving rain is already impacting the roadways. This is a new video from I-95, where as you can see their conditions, they are deteriorating this morning.
A messy start to our weekend. Today is Saturday, September 23rd. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Carabeo.
And I'm Howard Monroe. It is a next weather alert day all across our region, and we do have team coverage for you. We have Waukesha Bailey. She is in Atlantic City, and also Ross DeMattei. He is in Wilmington, Delaware. But first, let's begin with our next weather team. Meteorologist Andrew Kozak and also Tammie Souza. First up is Tammie. Hey, Tammie.
Well, hello there, Howard. Yeah, we are watching this tropical storm. It's well to the south of us, but it is moving very slowly. It's pushing all the wind, the rain, and the potential flooding in our direction. It will be doing that for at least the next 48 hours, if not a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and take a look right now at what you can expect. These are just some of the highlights for the weekend, specifically today, because we have an alert today, but I think we'll probably be extending that through tomorrow. We'll see 2 to 5 inches of heavy rain. Localized flooding is going to potentially happen on and off throughout the day. And as we work our way toward this evening, when we see all of this accumulating rain kind of building up in the ground saturated. High winds with 30 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts. That 60 will be down the shore. And we are looking at major coastal flooding up to 3 feet on top of a high tide. So this is not a good situation for any of the shore points and back bays. Right now, we're watching these bands of rain flow into the area. I want to draw your attention to these yellows and oranges because that's where the heaviest rain is right now. Not in Philadelphia, but now approaching Wilmington and down the shore. So from Atlantic City, even from Little Egg Harbor, through Atlantic City, down toward Cape May, we have that steadier rain beginning to move in. We head over to Delaware, and Ross DeMattei, we'll see him in just a little bit. We have a heavier band of rain headed toward him in Wilmington, so central Delaware, heavier rain. Just a light, steady rain right now to a moderate rain in Philadelphia and north and west. Right now, we are looking at Ophelia with 70-mile-an-hour winds, 85-mile-an-hour wind gusts, moving northwest at 9 miles an hour, very close to landfall within the next hour or so. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Outside right now, we are looking at windy conditions, winds gusting to 36 miles an hour in Philadelphia, 59 degrees out there. We are looking at rain across the entire area, so know that when you head out this morning. Wind gusts have been as high as the 40s down the shore, and we will be looking at wind gusts as high as 60 miles an hour. Here to tell us a little bit more about all of that is my colleague, meteorologist Andrew Kozak.
Thanks so much, Tammie. Yeah, so we're talking about the wind, we're talking about the rain. Let's talk about the future into the evening hours tonight. We're going to start with the mid-morning. We may have a bit of a break here, especially just along the shore for a little bit. It may be a temporary lull in some of the heavier rain, but that will start to once again fill in after lunchtime. And as Tammie showed you, those yellows and oranges, those are those areas of very heavy rain that will move right back into the area. This is going to cause us some more flooding as we head into the late part of the day. Here's 8 o'clock tonight. We're still looking at heavy rain and the possibility for a couple of showers mixed in with even some thunderstorms. That said, the good news here is when we look at all the dynamics for severe weather, the better chance for even just a marginal risk would be south of our area. We may have some non-severe thunderstorms down toward Wildwood and Cape May. There may be 1 or 2 stronger storms, but today's going to be mostly just a heavy rain, coastal flooding, and of course wind day across the area. So the storm disruptions for you. Travel delays, a good chance. If you have any flights out of Philadelphia International, Atlantic City, Trenton, really anywhere across the area, you're going to need to call ahead to your carriers and at the very least give yourself some extra time. We may see some scattered power outages. Sports will definitely be delayed. Any of your outdoor plans, yeah, for sure, you're going to have to take them inside today. Flying debris, while we may not have a tornado outbreak, we certainly could be looking at some winds, as Tammie said, across the shore, 50, 60 miles per hour. That's something we're watching very carefully for you. All the way through your Saturday, your Sunday, and even your Monday, when we start to turn the rain off, we could be looking cumulatively between 2 and 5 inches of rain. The heavier stuff will be right there along the shore, but again, this is going to cause us some issues, flooding, and the potential for some flash flooding as well. 62 today in Philadelphia, wind and rain at the shore, 68, 58, chilly and rainy in the Lehigh Valley. We'll come back, full team coverage, and I'll look at your 7-day plan in just a little bit.
Sounds good, Andrew. Thank you. And our team coverage of this storm continues right now. Ross DeMattei is live in Wilmington for us this morning, tracking the conditions there. We'll check in with him in just a few minutes. But first, our Waukesha Bailey has moved from the street to the boards this morning for a look down the shore in Atlantic City. And you came prepared for the rain, but it's still going to be a tough morning if you're out and about, Waukesha.
Oh, my goodness, Jan. I mean, tough, just to say the least. I mean, I'm miserable out here this morning. And I know a lot of people who have to be out, they're probably feeling the same way because it's wet and it's cold. Now, as you mentioned, we moved here to the boardwalk. And usually around this time, you see a lot of people out. They're getting ready to take pictures of the sunrise. But as you can see, that's not the case this morning. Now, this rain has really been coming down since we've been out this morning around 3 o'clock. And it's really been nonstop. And once again, it's picked back up. And now that we're at the boardwalk, we are really starting to feel those heavy gusts of wind. So this is not making it a very pleasant morning at all. And that's why it really looks like a ghost town here. Now, we were here last night and we did speak with a couple of families, and this is what they had to say before the storm.
We're always looking for an adventure, and I said, come on, let's go up to the boardwalk and have some fun on this windy night.
It is really windy. I can't really see anything. It's pretty windy right now. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun though.
Yeah, and it still is windy. I think I heard Adam say that there's going to be a break down the shore. Well, I hope it happens soon because you know what? I could really use it. Jan Howard.
Certainly a miserable morning down there on the boardwalk for you, Waukesha. Thank you so much for standing out there, you and your photographer. Keep smiling, though. Also, meantime, the storm approaching from the south. People in Delaware, they have already seen heavy rains overnight. CBS News Philadelphia's Ross DeMattei is live along the riverfront in Wilmington with the latest conditions there. Ross, I see you ditched that umbrella imitating Mary Poppins this morning.
I was just going to say, Howard, I narrowly avoided my Mary Poppins moment just in our last half hour. In case anyone missed it, I brought out the umbrella trying to battle the elements out here and give people a sense of the wind when all of a sudden a huge gust came through and just flipped it completely inside out, almost ripped it right out of my hands and flew away like Mary Poppins. I thought I learned my lesson and didn't bring out the umbrella for this live report. As you can see now, I'm just getting soaked through by all this wind and rain. It is a nasty combination here in Wilmington, Delaware, as it is for our entire area really right now. First, let's talk about the rain. It's been falling for several hours at a pretty steady clip now. We haven't seen a break in quite a while. Sometimes it's a little stronger than this, but overall, it's a pretty soaking rain. And then when you combine it with the wind that we've seen, it's nasty, like I said. It really whips right through you. It kind of gives you that raw feeling. Summer is definitely in the rearview mirror. Just a quick anecdote. My photographer Kyle and I drove down to Wilmington, Delaware this morning, just a few hours ago, and especially on the highway, you can feel those wind gusts. You don't know exactly when they're coming, but when you're driving on the highway especially, we got moved over in our large live truck several times along the highway. So I would suggest both hands on the wheel, and really if you can avoid being outside like we are, that's the best advice in the morning, because doesn't matter if you got the umbrella, the raincoat, you're not going to feel very good out in these conditions this morning, guys. We're going to go seek shelter. We'll check back in with you in a half hour.
Sounds great. Thanks, Ross. Appreciate you weathering the elements out there for us. The National Weather Service, the U.S. National Hurricane Center, says Tropical Storm Ophelia is expected to make landfall along the North Carolina coast this morning with the potential for damaging wind and dangerous storm surge. This is video right here of Avon, North Carolina, late yesterday, where you can see there the 70-mile-per-hour wind and flooding on the road. Our full team of meteorologists will be tracking this storm around the clock. You can see radar and get the latest forecast even when we're not on TV. You can find it all right there on our website, cbsphiladelphia.com/weather. All right, switching gears to our next weather forecast. It's a big next weather alert day. We have a full team out there braving the elements. It really does look nasty right now.
And it's going to get nastier. You know, I mean, this is a tropical system, and a lot of people say, well, it's like a coastal low. It's like a big old storm system. No, these tropical systems can slow down, and then they kind of push a lot of rain in our direction, and they pull more rain in from the Atlantic. So there is a little bit of a difference between just a basic coastal storm and a tropical system with a tropical core. We're going to show you what's going on right now with the rain, and Andrew in just a few minutes is going to actually show you where things are going to be going over the next 36 to 48 hours. So let's take a look right now at our next weather radar and satellite, and you can see these bands of heavier rain beginning to approach Philadelphia, already moving across the shore, approaching where we saw Ross up in Wilmington, even up into Allentown. You're getting a steadier shower, a few little breaks after that, and then you'll get more rain, especially the heavier rain moving into your area. So that's what we'll be keeping a very close eye on. Let's take a look at our sweeping radar, because these bands of yellow and orange, that is heavier. It's a moderate rainfall that's coming down. So it is a heavier rainfall. It's going to last as it moves through for probably a good 10 to 20 minutes, and then you'll probably get a break and then another band. So if we look down the shore, you can see Atlantic City right now, where Waukesha is, we have steady rain falling. Little Egg Harbor, Mays Landing, Woodbine, you have steadier rain over to Morris River. Then we head over toward Delaware. We make our way through Salem County, Lower Alloways Creek, and get over toward Delaware. And we are looking at steadier rain now approaching Wilmington, Hockessin, Newark. So just be prepared for that. In the city, that steadier rain is approaching. Probably you have another, say, 20 minutes or so. This is what's going on with Ophelia right now. Very close to landfall. It has 70-mile-an-hour winds moving to the north at 9 miles an hour. So I think landfall literally will be within the next hour, hour and a half. Here's the track of where this is going. It is going to remain a tropical storm for at least the next day, perhaps day and a half, as it makes landfall, moves through Norfolk toward D.C. as a tropical storm. Then it breaks down after that. So here we are tomorrow morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, still enough oomph to be a tropical storm. Then it approaches our area, breaks down into a remnant low, and still dumping rain on us and bringing us wind into Monday. Here are some of the alerts that we're looking at. This is a storm warning up and down the shore. This is because we're expecting to have a surge about 1 to 3 feet on top of that high tide. What you see here is a tropical storm warning in effect until Tuesday. That's the blue, all south of our area. We have storm surge warnings up and down the coastline. Again, 1 to 3 feet above ground for our area. Coastal flood warnings as well. At high tide today, between 2 and 3, we'll see the worst of the flooding Prior to that and right after that, again, about 3 feet above ground on top of that high tide, we're expecting some major flooding to be going on. Now, let's take a look at what's going to happen moving forward with the winds, which are a big player, and with all this rain. Andrew?
Yeah, Tammie, it's not just going to be the wind and the rain, but the coastal flooding. We're going to be talking about that across the area. And also those wind gusts that could be 30, 40, 50, even up to 60 miles per hour. We brought you out to Ross and Waukesha a little earlier. I know Ross had an issue with his umbrella, and the winds aren't even at their peak yet. And neither is the rain. As we head into the early part of the morning here, the next couple of hours, we're still going to see the heavy rain bands move up across Philadelphia into central New Jersey. And while we may have a bit of a break, remember, this is just a model, it's giving us a bit of a break in the late morning to early afternoon. It'll pick right back up again as we head toward about 1, 2 o'clock. And some of those areas of yellow and orange are really heavy bands of rain. And we could even see a little bit of training. Training is where you have the same areas over and over again getting heavy rain, and that could lead to flooding. This is a look at 8 o'clock tonight, and this is where we could have a secondary batch of really heavy rain from Cape May all the way up to areas like Strathmere. We're looking at Sea Isle, Atlantic City, Ocean City, and then even further inland, even as far inland as Philadelphia. So that's where the heavy rain is going to be again for tonight. Wind gusts, they will be an issue as well, and they'll continue into this afternoon. Not as strong in Philadelphia, though we will have breezy/windy conditions, but we could see some scattered power outages and even some damage across the Jersey Shore with wind gusts approaching 60 miles per hour, and that will last into the evening tonight and even into the first part of tomorrow when things finally start to die down. Storm disruptions. We'll have travel delays. Obviously, I'm expecting not only delays, but probably some cancellations at Philadelphia International. We'll check that for you coming up here in the 7 o'clock hour. Power outages likely as far as especially the Jersey Shore. We could be looking at not only sports delayed, canceled as well, but also some flying debris, especially there along the Jersey Shore. If you live near the water, make sure you tie everything down or at least have everything already back inside. If not, you could see some stuff flying around. Let's talk about your 7-day forecast because we will continue to have some rain all the way through your Sunday. It'll be breezy on Sunday. The winds will start to die down, but scattered showers and even a stray shower, not just for Monday, but even into Tuesday. We could see that lasting. We will have some sunshine return by the end of the week, but it's going to be a little bit of time. Coming up, Tammie and I will continue to keep track on this. And of course, we'll bring you the very latest and a live look at your radar all across the area. Guys?
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, September 23rd. I'm Howard Monroe.
And I'm Jan Carabeo. It is a next weather alert day all across our region, and we have live team coverage with Waukesha Bailey. She is live in Atlantic City for us this morning, and Ross DeMattei, who is live in Wilmington, Delaware.
But let's begin now with our next weather team meteorologist, Andrew Kozak, and also Tammie Souza. Let's start with Tammie. Hey, Tammie.
Well, hello. I guess this is one of those busy days for us meteorologists. Our entire weather team is here covering the aspects of what's going on with this tropical storm, which, by the way, has just made landfall on the North Carolina shoreline. We'll show you that in just a moment, but let's go ahead. Let's take a look at what's going on outside across our city. The sun is slowly trying to make its appearance, but we're going to be cloudy today with lots of rain, so you won't see anything bright. Right now, rain falling across Center City. 59 degrees. I want to address the winds down here out of the northeast to 17 miles an hour, but the gusts in the city to 30 miles an hour. We will see gusts up to 50 miles an hour in the city and down the shore at 60 miles an hour. So the wind is going to be a big player along with the rain today. And of course, there's coastal flooding. Andrew will talk about all that in just a moment. Here's a look at Ophelia, still a tropical storm. It has made landfall now, so it's no longer 25 miles west-northwest of Cape Lookout. Maximum winds are at 70 miles an hour with gusts to 85 miles an hour. It's moving northwest at about 9 miles an hour. Here's a look at it at landfall coming in. So this is somewhere near Jacksonville. I'll zoom in on a little bit closer to get an idea of exactly which towns were at play here. So Swansboro, Emerald Isle, somewhere near there is where the eye actually came ashore. It will continue to be a tropical storm, pulling in a lot of moisture from the Atlantic because it doesn't move that far inland and it's pushing the moisture in our direction. Look at these bands of yellow. That is now moderate and in some places heavy rain. So let's start down the shore. Atlantic City all the way up toward Toms River. And this includes Stafford, Port Republic, Egg Harbor. All these shore points and shore cities are looking at this steady rain. We move over past Morris River, Dover. We head up toward Wilmington. Not heavy rain yet, but you'll be getting it. And it's knocking on the door of the I-95 corridor. So it is going to be a messy commute after this. We're also looking at these winds big player here. So far, 36-mile-an-hour wind gusts this hour in Philadelphia, in the 40s down the shore. But that is going to wreak havoc across the area, and that's also pushing a lot of that water up against the shoreline, which is going to be a big problem today, right, Andrew?
It's actually going to be a huge issue for especially those right across the south part of Jersey Shore. Thank you, Tammie. Yeah, we're talking about not only the wind and the rain, but coastal flooding. And you know, a lot of times when we have tropical systems, really that's going to be the biggest issue that can cause things to just fly away. And we could also be looking at 3 to 5 feet when it comes to water. So let's talk about our futurecast first. Then I'm going to get into each individual area from the shore to the city and even up toward the Lehigh Valley. The middle of the morning, we may see a bit of a break from the heavier rain. That's what the models try to put out. There is some evidence here that could happen, but then we're going to see right back into the afternoon. Some very heavy rain continuing. And then this evening, especially after about 6, 7, 8 o'clock, we could see another round of torrential rain from Cape May to Wildwood and all the way up to LBI. So that's the rainfall. That's going to continue even for the interior, including Philadelphia. The storm impacts that we're going to see in Philly. 2 to 4 inches of heavy rain. This will be when all is said and done late Sunday into Monday. The threat for flooding is there. As Tammie mentioned, 30 to even up to 50-mile-per-hour winds in the city. Travel and event cancellations. We're also going to take a look at the airport. Most likely not only delays, but cancellations there. All right, the shore, and this is where the worst of it will be. 1 to 3 in surging and coastal flooding. We could see 3 to 5 inches of rain, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and the waves 5 to 9 feet with beach erosion not out of the question. But a lot of times people want to go out there and see that. No, you need to stay inside, stay away from the boardwalk, stay away from the water, the beaches. Today's an inside day everywhere, even the Lehigh Valley with wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour. We could see some localized flooding, about 1 to 3 inches of rain, slippery roads. Events will be canceled across the area as well. Across the region today, we only make it up to 62 degrees in Philly, 68 at the shore, and a chilly 58 in the Lehigh Valley. Rain will continue, and we will continue to keep you updated. Tammie and I will be back with another look at your forecast and your 7-day plan in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, thank you. And our crews are watching this storm very closely as it causes a mess all across our area this morning. Let's get back out to our Waukesha Bailey. She has been live for us along the shore there in Atlantic City, where she is seeing the worst of it this morning. Waukesha.
We're obviously having some issues out there with Waukesha, but now let's get on out to Ross DeMattei. He is down in Wilmington on the riverfront out there. Ross, good morning to you. What are the conditions looking like there?
Downright nasty, Howard. It is not pleasant here along the riverfront in Wilmington, Delaware. And conditions have really gotten significantly worse just within the last half an hour. And it's kind of a double punch, if you will, between the wind and the rain. Let's start with the rain, first of all. It's been falling consistently all morning for the past few hours since we got here to Wilmington. But like I said, just within the last half hour, the sky has really opened up and the rain has really ramped up, which is in itself not pleasant. And then when you mix that with the wind, it is nasty, like I said. You get that kind of sideways falling rain, and just when you think you're getting a little bit of relief from the rain, the wind starts whipping up again, and then you get slapped in the face. So really, whether you got the umbrella or the raincoat like I do, I'm soaked through. There's really no way to get away from this. I would just suggest staying in your bed if you got no plans today. It's really an inside kind of day. You can see, I'm sure, some of the trees whipping behind me, and once you get that wind going, it's almost like sheets of rain kind of moving their way down the boardwalk. Not fun to be outside in conditions like this. Like I said, I would stay inside, and especially if you're driving, 2 hands on the wheel. We experienced that earlier this morning as we were driving down here to Delaware. The wind is no joke. Guys, we're going to seek shelter again. I say this every half an hour, but yeah, we got to go and dry off and warm up again because it's pretty cold and it's not fun to be out here. I'll send it back to you.
For sure. I don't even think the CBS poncho would do you good today. It might just fly right over your head. Sorry about that, Ross. Get on inside or seek shelter where you can. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
The U.S. National Hurricane Center, meantime, says Tropical Storm Ophelia has made landfall along the North Carolina coast this morning with the potential for damaging wind and dangerous storm surge there. This is video from Avon, North Carolina, late yesterday, where they were dealing with 70-mile-per-hour wind and flooding on the roads. And as we've been saying all morning long, our team of meteorologists are tracking this storm around the clock. You can see the radar and even get the latest forecast when we're not on TV, all on our website. That's at cbsphiladelphia.com/weather. Howard.
All right, so they said it's dry now,
Yeah.
drier in New York City, but I mean, they're going to get it. Some of it.
They'll get some rain, but they will not have the impacts that we have. In fact, the thing is this, the storm is pushing everything ahead of it, so it's so far to the south of us. New York's probably not going to feel much of anything until maybe late today or tomorrow, really, and they won't have the impacts that we're going to be feeling, especially down our shore. It's going to be pretty awful. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at what's going on right now. A couple of our cameras around the area. In Bethlehem, you do have some rain. It's been moderate rain at times. Right now, it's just a light rain coming down as we take a look at the wet roads there. But you'll have heavier rain on the way. And this is a look at Cape May. If you're going to be down the shore at all, just a few minutes ago, the wind was a little bit more brisk and there was a more steady rain falling. But we are going to continue to see that rain pick up. I think the heaviest amounts may wind up being down the shore. Here's what's going on with our NICS weather radar and satellite. You can actually see these bright colors of yellow. That's where that heavy rain is right now, approaching Philadelphia on the I-95 corridor between Philadelphia and Wilmington, Hockessin, Newark, all those areas. From Dover northward, you are looking at a steady rain. And then we take this out across South Jersey and almost to Toms River, but Atlantic City, you saw steady rain coming through there. We have Waukesha in Atlantic City reporting for us all the way up to Port Republic, even Woodland. You're going to be looking at this steady rain moving in. Winslow, steady rain for you. We head right on over through Vineland. You had one wave, you'll have another one on the way. Dover, steady rain right now. And as I mentioned, up into Wilmington, Hockessin, Newark, you're looking at steady rain. As we watch this, it's moving into Chester. It'll be moving through Delco and then into Philadelphia. Right now, South Philly, you're seeing that rain pick up. And at the airport as well, there probably will be delays at the airport. Why? Because this is Tropical Storm Ophelia. You can see just at landfall right here. It's already made landfall, still a tropical storm though, near Swansboro or Emerald Isle. We'll get an official location from the Hurricane Center once they update. We are looking at the track, bringing this northward as a tropical storm all the way up to DC and then finally turns into a remnant low as it approaches our area. But look at this, it doesn't even cross our area till Monday. Until then, it'll be pulling moisture and wind in. Look at the winds coming in off of the ocean out of the northeast. Very bad. We have high pressure to the north, we have Ophelia to the south, and we have this tiny little funnel that is really a pressure gradient that is just speeding the winds in toward our area. So far, 43 mile an hour wind gusts in Atlantic City, 45 in Wildwood, 36 in Philadelphia. These will pick up as the day wears on. Let's talk about those tides. High tide today in Atlantic City is at 2:25 this afternoon. It'll be a 1.46 foot high tide. Add that to a possible 3-foot surge, and you have 4.46 feet above ground level. In Cape May and Wildwood, pretty much the same. You're looking at the possibility of almost 4.5 feet above ground level. So that is a major flooding situation for a lot of the roadways that are out there. Now to tell us more about where we're going with the winds, where we're going with the rain, and where we're going with the coastal flooding is Andrew.
Yeah, Tammie, and another thing, you had Wildwood on there. A lot of folks are going to be down there for the Irish Festival this weekend. You just got to make sure you stay everything inland because they're not likely going to be looking at anything happening on the beaches, but you really need to stay away from the water with those 4 to 5 foot surges. This is a look at Route 42 in Camden, just to give you an idea what it looks like a little further inland. It is definitely a very slow go. You don't want to go very fast today. Hydroplaning could be something that we see, flooding and ponding on the roadways. Tammie showed you some of those wind gusts so far. We could see them this afternoon, 50 to even 60 miles per hour over toward the Jersey Shore. That's going to be where we're going to most likely have the best chance for any damage, power outages, and most likely the most wind gusts that we see. Inland, as far as Philadelphia goes and even the Lehigh Valley, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. Storm disruptions, travel delays, certainly going to be a big deal for us. We're going to be checking Philadelphia International, most likely delays, possibly some cancellations. Call ahead to your carriers, give yourself a little extra time. Power outages, a moderate chance, especially along the Jersey Shore. I think we can easily see some of that, especially once we start getting into that wind gusts peaking this afternoon. Sports most likely delayed or canceled. flying debris, something again we can see especially there along the shore. As far as severe weather goes, we haven't talked a lot about this, and a lot of times when you have tropical systems come in, it's that natural spin that could give us some tornadoes. The good news here is that for the remainder of Saturday, most of us will be looking at just rain, possibly some scattered thunder, but the chance for any severe weather does stay to our south. That said, right there across the southern tip of New Jersey, including areas like Wildwood down toward Cape May, we potentially could see just a marginal risk of severe weather. The biggest culprits with this would be the gusty winds over 60 to 65 miles per hour in the worst of those thunderstorms. Again, today, a next weather alert day for Ophelia and eventually the remnants of it. 62, 68 on Sunday. Now tomorrow we're going to be looking at rainy conditions, a breezy afternoon for us, but eventually it does start to die down. By Monday, we're still looking at a couple of scattered showers. And one thing you'll notice here on the 7-day plan, we don't really warm up much at all. 60s to low 70s at best, and we stay socked in with clouds and a couple of showers, at least through the beginning of next week. We will have a chance to finally dry out and maybe even get a little bit more sun back in the mix Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as high temperatures approach the lower 70s. Guys?
That's looking much better. All right, Andrew, thank you. Back now on CBS News Philadelphia with another live look down the shore at Cape May. You can see a rain-slicked Washington Street Mall here. Ophelia, as we've been saying all morning, moving up the coast, impacting our entire area, but the shore there is expected to feel the brunt of this storm.
And it has made landfall in North Carolina, correct?
Near Emerald Isle, and they have tens of thousands of people without power. So, you know, that's why we have to watch this closely. The mess that is headed our way later today, tonight, and tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about the shore, especially as we get into high tide. We were just working on that, and you were saying a little later on this afternoon, we could see maybe over
almost
4.
a 5-foot tide above the water, above ground level. Here's a look at where we are right now on our radar, on our satellite and radar, with the bands of heavier rain coming in. You notice there are a few breaks between those bands and when we get down toward the center of the storm in the Carolinas, in North Carolina. But this is going to move northward and it'll start to fill in. So I think we'll have a few breaks this afternoon, Andrew, but we have a lot of waves of heavy rain.
Yeah, and this will continue. And we won't actually see that rain shut off, Tammie, until maybe even Monday morning.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough one out there. So for sure, down the shore, those high winds, 60-mile-an-hour winds. We got that storm surge that could be up to 5 feet of water above ground level in some places, which is why we've had Waukesha down there showing us what's going on. And then, and then we've had Ross in Wilmington, and he's had a rough time of it just with the wind.
And because this is so far ahead of the actual main system, we're going to be dealing with this for quite some time. It's just a good idea this entire weekend. Just stay inside, cancel the outdoor plans, and hopefully we'll get a better weekend next weekend.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even looked that far.
We haven't looked that far yet. Let's get through this.
We're just focusing on this. I'm not even looking further out into
I,
the
for one,
tropics.
have. I saw a lot of sun on that 7th day at the end of the week. We're hoping that part sticks.
Well, we'll be with you all day long. The whole weather team is in, and we're going to have updates every hour. And we're going to be, of course, on CBS News Philadelphia. We're going to be there streaming live as well.
And we've got a full team covering this all, and we will be back at 9 o'clock as well.
Yes, folks, thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday morning. We are back at 9 o'clock. And also to our crews out there in the field, stay dry and stay warm. You guys as well.
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. Now at 9 o'clock, tracking Ophelia, a live look down the shore at Ocean City. It is a next weather alert day as that tropical storm heads closer to the Jersey Shore, bringing with it heavy rain and whipping wind. Today is Saturday, September 23rd. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Carabeo.
And I'm Howard Monroe. We are under a next weather alert, so we brought in a pair of meteorologists to track Ophelia and where the storm is headed next. Tammie Souza and Andrew Kozak, they are both here. Tammie, Andrew, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we've been watching Ophelia. It's made landfall now. Emerald Isle, North Carolina. It's moving very quickly to the north, but we are feeling all of the impact from it, especially down the shore.
So many bands ahead of the main storm, so we're going to be dealing with this throughout the day today, tonight, and most of Sunday.
Yeah, but we do have a few breaks. So there are a few glimmers of hope, maybe some times that you can get out and run some errands for today. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. First, I want to bring you into the city. We're taking a look at at the Ben Franklin Bridge into the city. You can barely make out the buildings with the cloud cover, but the roads are wet. I know that sounds so silly to have a meteorologist say, the roads are wet. Yes, it's raining out there, but we will see ponding on the road. Some localized flooding is possible later on today as some of the heavier bands start to make their way through the area. So that's something that we want you to be aware of. Let's take a look at Margate. We've shown you this picture several times this morning, a really unsettled sea, and we have 5 to 9 foot waves that will be breaking on the shore, 15-foot swells out to sea. This is a dangerous situation out there, and a lot of that water is being pushed inland, which is going to create some of this coastal flooding out there. 58 degrees right now in Philadelphia, with the winds out of the northeast to 22, gusting to 33 miles an hour, but it is much higher down the shore. They're getting much higher wind gusts. We are looking at these bands of rain making their way through the area. The heaviest for now just crossing out of Philadelphia. So as I pause our sweeping radar, you can see breaks. Look at this. For some of you in Cumberland, Salem County, Newcastle County, we have some breaks. As we take a look at the bright shades of yellow and orange, you can see that moving out of Philadelphia and into lower Bucks and Montgomery County. So if you get up into lower Marion, Norristown, Gladwin, Villanova, maybe over to Narberth, Windmore, head to upper Dublin, over to Abington, you are looking at a moderate rainfall right now. We head over to West Bradford, West Goshen, Pennsbury, Concord, a moderate rainfall. Then we wind up near Bensalem, headed toward Trenton right now, a moderate rainfall. And down the shore, we do have more rain that is now making its way into Atlantic City, where we have our Waukesha Bailey. As we look at the whole system, there it is, moving quickly to the north through New Bern already, North Carolina. And again, landfall was made at Emerald Isle in North Carolina. So we are going to continue to watch it right now. 65-mile-an-hour winds moving north at 13 miles an hour. We'll track this out, and we will talk more about what you can expect and all of the alerts that are out there for the next 2 days. But first, let's find out what is going on with Andrew. You've got the winds, you've got a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of really just heavy rain across the area. And of course, this is going to cause us issues all day long. So just a couple of things to worry about, or to not worry about, but to be aware about as we head into the weekend. Make sure all your devices are charged, especially if you live across the shore. We're going to see gusts in the afternoon, 50 to 60 miles per hour, and this could give us some power outages. Plan for an indoor weekend. Outdoor plans, a lot of events canceled, delayed. Even if they're not, it's a good idea to spend more time inside. If you have to be out, budget extra time on the roads. Plan for delays and cancellations. Just check the airport. There actually are quite a few flights on time, but there also are a few cancellations and a few delays as well. So you want to make sure to check those carriers. Give yourself a little extra time there. There's Bethlehem right now. A light rain, not as windy inland, but then there's Route 42 across Camden. Obviously, we've got a sheen on the roads there. Do need to make sure that you take it slow. We can see ponding on the roadways. Hydroplaning, something you see if you obviously go a little too fast. Look at our wind futurecast. Gusts upper 30s to 40 mile per hour wind gusts into the afternoon, but 40s, 50s, even up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts continue for the Jersey Shore. This is 5 o'clock. It'll be windy inland as well. Delaware, we could be looking at wind gusts over 55 to 60 miles per hour. Again, that would put it in a solid tropical storm category. Even as we head into your Sunday morning, we're going to see more of that. Eventually by Sunday afternoon, we will start to see those winds die down. So the storm disruptions, travel delays, a very high probability of that. Again, power outages. You want to make sure that you have all those device charges just in case. Sports will be delayed. Events, flying debris, probably not a huge deal inland, but at the shore, we could see not only coastal flooding, a little coastal erosion, but with those gusty winds, we could potentially see some really strong gusts and maybe a little bit of flying debris. Here's the good news. As far as severe weather goes, only the southern tip of the Jersey Shore is in just a marginal 1 out of 5 step for severe weather. Everyone else, this is going to be a mainly wind and rain event. We'll be back in just a little bit. Tammy and I got you covered, plus a look at your 7-day plan.
More to come, Andrew. All right, thanks so much. And our team coverage of this storm continues right now. Ross DeMattei is live in Wilmington for us this morning, tracking the conditions there. We will check in with him in just a few minutes. But first, our Waukesha Bailey is down the shore for a live look in Atlantic City. You have seen that soaking rain pretty much all morning, Waukesha.
Yeah, good morning, Jan. Howard, and this rain continues to stop now. I am really giving you this report from my cell phone because earlier today our equipment got damaged from being out here for so long. But with the cell phone, I'm able to really show you just how crazy this all looks out here. As you can hear, the wind blowing as well as, it's just pouring down. But I want to be able to turn this phone around so you can just get a look at these waves because of the wind. I've been talking with some officials, and they tell us that some of these waves are as high as about 12 feet. This is just absolutely remarkable. Now, we do know that one of the biggest concerns in this area, being in these coastal communities, is also a lot of flooding. Now, here on the boardwalk, we really haven't seen too many people out this morning for a good reason. I hope you guys can hear because the wind is definitely picking up, but every now and then we do see one or two people walking, and I've been trying to speak with them, and they're telling us, sometimes you have to come outside because you may have a dog that you have to walk. Some people are even saying, hey, I got to get to work, so I do not have a choice. Now, our crews have been in the area for close to since 5 o'clock this morning, and we've been bringing this to you live, and it has definitely just been a downpour, and the rain just will not stop. We have not gotten a break since we've been out here, and when you mix all of this from the rain, from the wind, along with it just being cold, it definitely does not make it much of a pleasant morning. And here we are on the boardwalk, and usually it's really a lot of people out here checking out the stores. Many of these stores look to appear to be closed. It looks like a ghost town out here. However, we do see, like I said, I think you can see like one person walking with their luggage a little ways down, but that is just about it. But it's really just been us out here. And one thing is for sure, a lot of the officials that we have been talking to, they're saying that if you don't have to come outside, don't take the chance. And if these rain conditions continue, as we're hearing Tammie and Andrew talk about it, that means that there could be some potential flooding later on, and that will also lead to a lot of street closures. So we're definitely going to be out here tracking the weather, but you guys stay dry inside.
All right, Waukesha, thank you so much. And for those of you if you couldn't hear, the reason why Waukesha is on her cell phone is because unfortunately her photographer Fletcher's camera got waterlogged earlier on this morning. Waukesha, try to stay dry out there. Meantime, with the storm approaching from the south, people in Delaware, they have already seen heavy rains from overnight and also into this morning. CBS News' Philadelphia's Ross DeMattei is live along the riverfront there in Wilmington with the latest conditions there. Ross.
Hey, Howard, you actually caught us at a pretty decent moment, all things considered, because there's just a bit of a lull in the storm right now. It's really the first one we've seen in hours. When we last spoke live on television, right around 6:30 this morning, we were just getting pummeled by this driving rain, really the combination of that heavy rainfall that we saw peaking at right around 6:30 this morning and the gusty winds that we're feeling right now. So while the rain has let up just a little bit in the last half hour or so, the wind certainly has not. So the little rain that is falling is just kind of cutting right through you as you walk along the riverfront here in Wilmington, Delaware. Now, normally on a Saturday morning especially, this would be buzzing with people, this area. This is a place where people like to go and get food, sample some of the local art and entertainment. There's not much of that going on this morning. It seems like everyone has gotten the memo about the kind of weekend that we have in store thanks to Ophelia. Now, in terms of the rain, we could see upwards of half an inch, maybe more than that, just today alone. And we also expect that rain to continue into tomorrow. So folks have definitely been bracing for a lot of that rainfall. But you really can't brace for the kinds of raw feeling that we have been enduring throughout the course of this morning between the rain and the wind. Those gusts are what really cuts right through you, like I mentioned, with the rain falling. So guys, we're hanging in there and definitely enjoying a bit of a lull here. We're going to go warm up and we'll check back in with you in about a half hour. I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, we're glad that we could catch you in a calm window there. Thanks, Ross. Appreciate the update. Now, our meteorologists are tracking Ophelia 24/7. Just go to cbsphiladelphia.com/weather to check out the latest forecast and check live radar. We're coming back in just a few minutes with some other top headlines. Stay with us. All right, turning now to our big story of the day. Of course, it is a next weather alert day. We're tracking Ophelia. You mentioned that it was moving faster now. It was picking up some steam.
It's moving north at 13 miles an hour. It doesn't mean it's going to get here a whole lot faster. I don't think it really approaches our area until sometime tomorrow. Doesn't really fully cross our area, I think, until early Monday, like late Sunday night, Monday.
Long duration.
Yeah, it is. At some point, it's just going to kind of fizzle out, become the remnants, and just wash itself out over us and nearby and everything else. You know what? Ophelia has made landfall, so we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about some of these peak wind gusts that we have been getting word of, and they're pretty impressive. We definitely have seen above 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so that is a strong tropical storm force. force, and it is approaching hurricane strength, and that would qualify as a severe thunderstorm gust if it was a severe thunderstorm producing it. Let's take a look first at the radar. You can see these bands that are moving through. Now, this is the first band that came through. It came through overnight, about 2-3 in the morning. It started and made its way through Philadelphia, and it has provided some pretty significant downpours so far. You can see the shades of yellow, but we do have some breaks, so I want to make you hopeful that you will actually get some brief breaks from this, and some of it will be light at times. Let's take a look right now at what's going on with the storm. Now, this is Ophelia making landfall early this morning. This was right near Emerald Isle, North Carolina, and you can see how quickly that eye wall has now moved to the north. So we're seeing this now moving north at about 13 miles an hour. It has 65-mile-an-hour winds, still very gusty, still pulling in all the moisture ahead of it, and we're getting these bands ahead of it and then wrapping that moisture around. So they have flooding concerns, power outages, just a real mess going on in parts of North Carolina. Tracking it out, we're going to be watching it. By 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, it is already moving into parts of Virginia and then into Maryland by tomorrow afternoon when it becomes a remnant low, and then it crosses over Delaware and through Philadelphia, and this is going to be late tomorrow night and early on Monday morning. Now let's talk about those winds. Look at this, Lewis Beach. We just heard that they shut down the ferry, 64-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Beach Haven, how about 62-mile-an-hour wind gusts? 61 in Sea Isles City. Dewey Beach, we're looking at 58-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and Tuckerton, 52-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I think here in Philadelphia, we've approached that 40-mile-an-hour wind gust so far. Right now, 39, but we will go higher as the day wears on. Other shore points in the 40s, but you can see the winds driving in out of the north and the east. That is a huge problem, because at high tide today, we're going to be looking at a surge of 1 to 3 feet. Generally, it is going to be 3 feet pushing into the area. When you factor that in with a tide that is 1.46 feet, you add the 3 feet, then in Atlantic City, you're looking at 4.46 feet. In Cape May and also in Wildwood, these are all between 2 and 3 o'clock this afternoon, we're looking at a surge that could be over 4.5 feet moving into the area. And some of the Delaware beaches, that surge approaches 6 and 7 feet. So this is our biggest concern, and this is what we're going to be watching for down the shore. Here in Philadelphia, we're going to deal with the high winds, we're going to deal with some downpours, localized flooding, and we're going to deal with a lot of delays from the airports to your favorite sporting events. Now let's talk more about the rain, because look at this. One last thing that I wanted to put out there and show you is we are dealing with a rainfall out there that will be going throughout the remainder of the day and also into tomorrow. So you see a lot of green, you see it peaked out, it's not going anywhere. Andrew, how much are we going to get?
We're going to get quite a bit, Tammie, on top of what we already had. You mentioned the airport, by the way. Just check their Instagram. They are dealing with a few cancellations and a few delays. So make sure if you have any flights out, it's not completely 100% shut down, of course, but you will have to call ahead to your carriers, check online, because we're most likely going to see more of that as we head into the afternoon. Take a look down the shore. We have, this is Margate, a very, very strong, big area of waves here across the area. Again, 5 to 9 foot waves today. We have rainfall in the 2 to 5 inch mark all the way through your Sunday. And as Tammie said, the bit of a break that we're seeing in some areas may include the entire area as we head into the next couple of hours, but don't let your guard down, because what that will do sure is put a cap on the flooding potential for some areas, especially inland. But then we have that heavy rain and another band of it coming in as we head into the late afternoon and early evening. By the time we get into Saturday, that's tonight, 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, we could be looking at maybe some really heavy downpours across the Jersey Shore. This is what's going to give these areas that 3 to 5 inch range all the way through your Sunday. So again, make sure you give yourself plenty of time. If you have to be out, take it very slow. Best chance today to just get through the day and not have to worry about this is staying inside. Wind gusts, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts sustained in the city. We could have gusts 40, 50, even up to 60 miles per hour across the Jersey Shore. Now, it is still a breezy day for Sunday, but it's not nearly as bad. In fact, we'll most likely start to see those wind gusts die down as we head into your Sunday evening. So in the city, let's kind of break it down by area. Philadelphia, there is a flooding threat, 2 to 4 inches of heavy rain all the way through your Sunday, gusty winds, and travel travel and event cancellations all over the place, of course. It's the shore that's going to have the worst of all of this. 1 to 3 feet surge, coastal flooding, 3 to 5 inches of rain, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and again, those waves could be as high as 9 feet. Already seen that. So storm impacts for the Lehigh Valley, a little less, still not a great day. 20 to 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts, 1 to 3 inches of rain, some localized flooding, slippery roads, events likely canceled as well. Let's talk about your 7-day forecast. After we get through today, tomorrow's also on the rainy side. It's breezy, but it's not nearly as bad. We get into Monday, a lingering shower not out of the question. We have a chance to dry things out as we head into your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Temperatures finally back into the low 70s. 9:20 on this Saturday morning. We'll be right back.
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. Now at 9:30, you're taking a live look there at Atlantic City. We're feeling the effects of Tropical Storm Ophelia with whipping winds and driving rain. Meantime, Philly is also taking a beating this morning, making for a miserable Saturday. Today is Saturday, September 23rd. Good morning, everyone. I'm Howard Monroe.
And I'm Jan Carabeo. Ophelia has put us under a next weather alert, and that is keeping meteorologists Tammie, Souza, and Andrew Kozak very busy. And I hear you guys, we have some flooding reports and some damage reports just in as well.
Yeah, we do. We're starting to get these trickling in from weather watchers, spotters, National Weather Service putting them out. You, the public, are helping us out with pictures and such. But yeah, we are starting to get some reports, and we'll go over those in just a moment. More importantly, this has made landfall. It's not downgrading quickly, so that means it's sticking together even though it's moving north a little quicker than expected.
We're going to be covering this for at least the next 24 to 36 hours, although after we get through today, which was the worst day, Tammie, it does look like it gets better tomorrow, but we've got a long day ahead of us.
Yeah, the thing with these tropical systems, it's not just a normal coastal storm. It has a tropical core. It pulls in more water. It operates just a little bit differently, and that is why we have the concerns that we do, especially down the shore. We've been through this before. We've had nor'easters. We have had the remnants of Ida just several years ago. And of course, Superstorm Sandy. This is nothing like either one of those. Nonetheless, it has made landfall and it is going to move in our direction, and we are going to feel the impacts for the next several days. Right now, 65-mile-an-hour winds with gusts to 85, moving north at 13 miles an hour. It was Emerald Isle in North Carolina. That is where this did make its landfall. And now we're going to be watching as it makes its way northward, and it's going to move into our area, close to our area, I think by tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, crossing our area overnight, at least what's left of it. We do have waves of rain making their way through the area. We have some nice little breaks though, so I'm happy to report that. Between us and the main body of the storm system, we have several breaks. Right now we have a swath of rain going across Upper Bucks and Montgomery and into Berks County, and in the city of Philadelphia, just sort of a light to moderate downpour or rain right now. Down the shore though, we go to Atlantic City, and you're looking at more steady rain. So in Philadelphia, the roads are all impeded. Take extra time out there. They're all covered with rain, but we are starting to improve out in lower Montgomery County, where we had some steadier rain just about 15 minutes ago, and over also into Chester and Delaware counties. We're looking at a little bit of improvement. So we're going to be looking at wind gusts that are already above 60 miles an hour. These are the latest reports we've gotten. In Cape May, roads are starting to flood. They're closing roads. This is low tide. This is not even the high tide this afternoon, so that is bad news. And wind damage has been reported on several houses in Delaware. This is the problem. We're looking at these tides. I mentioned this before. Atlantic City, 225, high tide. You add that to a surge, you're looking at 4.46 feet above ground. Cape May at 248, you're looking at 4.48 above ground. That's the same for Wildwood. Let's look at this one. This one is an eye-opener. Dewey Beach, 251. You are looking at 7.44 feet if you have that 3-foot surge, and that is a huge concern out there. So here are the things we're looking at down the shore. 1 to 3 foot surge, coastal flooding out there already beginning, 3 to 5 inches of rain, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and 5 to 9 foot waves with lots of beach erosion. Now to cover the rest of the story, here's Andrew.
You know, Tammie, we have been talking about the wind and the rain. How much rain, though? We're talking about, well, at least on top of what we already have, another 2 to 4, maybe even up to 5 inches of rain. This is all going to be said and done by the time we get into your Sunday night and early Monday. But our models are putting out 3 inches in the city and over 4, even up toward Toms River, over 5. All it takes is a couple of rounds of heavy, steady rain, and we're going to see some of that. Here's the big picture, clouds and radar. Tammie showed you already. First couple of rounds already through. There's a little bit of that break, but again, if I move the map a little bit further down, Yeah, look what the center of that is. We've got hundreds of miles to go. And as we get up there, we're going to see more of this come our way into the afternoon and evening. All right, so let's talk about the flood potential today. The risk is slight. That's about a 2 out of 4. And that does include Philadelphia and all of central and southern New Jersey, including the shore. As Tammie mentioned, we already have some wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. And we're already starting to get some official reports in out there on what we're seeing out there. So let's talk about some of these storm reports over toward Atlantic City and Cape May. This is going to be Strathmere right now. You know where the Deauville Inn is? We already have wind gusts there about 50 to 51 miles per hour. Atlantic City, we have had some wind gusts over, let's go back to that graphic there. We've had some wind gusts over 50 miles per hour as well. And we've had some flooding already inland here. So we're going to have to be very careful across the shore. In the meantime, we're already starting to see a little bit of that wave action from the heavier stuff move just to the north of Philadelphia. KOP probably on the leading edge of some of that lighter rain. But again, there's plenty more to come here within the next couple of hours. So we're going to continue to watch this for you. Just note today, make sure that your devices are all charged up. If you have to be out, definitely budget more time. And make sure you don't go too fast on those roadways. Hydroplaning, things like that easily can happen even as we head inland today. It's not going to be just a shore problem, although that's where we're going to see the worst of it. Also, just before we go, checked Philadelphia International Airport. There are several cancellations and delays. So give yourself plenty of time and check in with those carriers. Guys?
All right. Thank you, Andrew. And speaking of the shore, rain has been pouring nonstop on the boardwalk in Atlantic City this morning. Our team coverage continues now with Waukesha Bailey and her photographer, Fletcher Rumbaugh. She is on the boardwalk down there. Good morning to you, Waukesha.
Good morning, Howard. We are still braving the elements out here, and it has really been pretty much the same story all morning. A lot of rain and a lot of wind. Now, as you mentioned, we are here on the boardwalk, and not many people are out, but I did spot like one couple that was out today. I told them that I'm going to actually go on over there and walk over to them to ask them how are they doing in this weather. How are you guys?
We're hanging in there.
Okay. What brings you out this morning?
Just our normal walk, but the weather.
We're trying to see if our friends are still here, see if they got blown away. We haven't seen but one person, so we're kind of concerned.
And let me take this. You got to walk the dog too, right? Can we see that? There we go. And I didn't explain to you guys earlier, but the reason that my shot on my cell phone earlier today, it's been raining so much that our equipment got damaged through the weather. So that is why you're looking at our shot right now. But either way, we're still bringing you, these live reports and just to give you the conditions that we're seeing all morning. But you know what? Those are just like about the only people that I've seen out here this morning. I do see another couple that's up here watching, the weather and watch Mother Nature take its course. Now, these solar lights are still on. That also gives you an idea just how dark it is and cloudy it is, because usually they're off by now. It's already in the 9 o'clock hour. But as you have been reporting and we've been reporting all morning, it is definitely not the most pleasant morning. A lot of rain and a lot of wind. One thing that we have been speaking with officials, they have not made any road closures in Atlantic City right now, but they are keeping their eye on a lot of the areas that are prone to flooding. So we're going to be out here most of the morning, and I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, her equipment was so waterlogged this morning that she has to use her cell phone right now.
Yeah, pulling double duty out there.
I know, not letting any technical difficulties stop her. Waukesha Bailey in Atlantic City this morning. Thank you, Waukesha. Well, from there, let's go south to Wilmington.
Yes, here we go. That's where Ross DeMattei is live there with his photographer, Kyle Burton. Good morning to you guys.
Hey, good morning, guys. This has turned into an extended break in the action, especially in terms of the rain, which has really died down in just about the last half hour to 45 minutes. It's quite a different story from what we've dealing with for most of the morning. If anyone at home was watching earlier this morning, we were just getting pounded by driving rain, and especially that wind. That is what really makes things uncomfortable. And while the rain has pretty much died completely, at least for the short time being, the wind has remained steady. You can see a lot of the vegetation here along the Christina River in Wilmington. All of that vegetation being moved by the wind itself as well as the trees. That's something we've seen all morning long. So that really hasn't died down. What you won't see out here in Wilmington is any signs of human beings. That's because everyone seemed to have gotten the memo about this storm and to stay inside. It's really, especially when you're talking about boardwalk conditions where a lot of these wood planks get slippery, they get wet, and you see all the debris that is on the ground as a result of the wind that has kind of knocked everything off of the trees here. It's just really not a safe place. And it's a shame because on Saturdays, this is a place where a lot of people like to come out and take a stroll along the Christina River. It's a fun spot to be at, but just not the day for that. Now, I will say in terms of the wind, it's been brutal over the past few hours. You get these gusts that's come up out of nowhere, and they'll catch you off guard. We just saw a gentleman who was braving the elements riding his bicycle down the boardwalk, and he kind of had to put on that face and grit and bear it while he was getting blown all over the place. So again, wouldn't advise coming out if you don't have to, and if you do, especially if you're driving, 2 hands on the wheel. Guys, we're going to continue to follow things here in Wilmington and bring you updates as we get them. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Ross, thank you so much. You and your photographer, Kyle, thank you so much this morning. And while he did mention there's a lull right now, our meteorologist is saying that some more rain will be coming into the Wilmington area. And also, we are tracking Ophelia 24/7. Just going over to cbsphiladelphia.com/weather to check the latest forecast and also check the live radar. We'll be right back. I hope they'll be inside of that church.
I was going to say, they better bring their umbrellas and rain jackets.
I think a lot of people realize that, yeah, you know what, this isn't a great day. Yeah. I know there were a lot of activities that were canceled. I was going to go to the Temple and Miami game. They're the Hurricanes. Do you suppose they did this to us? They brought us this tropical system. We're going to have to do a little explaining from them. All right. I don't even know if that's going to be going on at the link. I need to check ahead. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on outside. We've got a whole bunch of our cameras out here, our live cameras. Let's go to Bethlehem first, where the roads are wet. You have not felt the brunt of it. In fact, you will get the least of it in the Lehigh Valley and up into the Poconos, at least for today. Tomorrow, I think you may see some of the heavier rain moving through the area. But the roads are wet for all of you in Bethlehem and everywhere across the area. So again, we've been telling you, you know what, slow your roll. Leave a little extra time. It's Saturday. Where do you got to go so fast? Down the shore, this is Ocean City. Look at the bounce on our camera. We've had wind gusts already exceeding 64 miles an hour, a lot of them along the shore point. So that is exactly what we were concerned about. And look at the surf. You can really see the white foam that is all being kind of churned up. Here's a different angle now. This is from Margate, and you can actually see that surf coming in. Again, we're going to be looking at waves that are going to be anywhere from 5 to 9 feet. Don't see any surfers out this time. A lot of those expert surfers will go out, but thankfully they have not. At least we haven't seen any. And take a look at this. I believe this is I-95. It's just with the cameras bouncing, the roads wet as we look back across the city and back across the stadium. 58 degrees. The winds are out of the north at 21 miles an hour, gusting to 29 right now in Philadelphia. The waves of rain will continue to spread across the area. The first wave has moved through. It came through just after midnight, about 2-3 in the morning, and it has started to subside. It's moving toward all of you up in the Lehigh Valley. Here are those breaks. Ross said he was in Wilmington with a break. He's getting a break. Not to last though, Ross. We have more on the way. Here's a close-up as we take a look with our sweeping radars, and you can see as we head up toward Allentown and Reading, if you're going to be going out the blue route, you're going to encounter some of this rain. But we're starting to see a little bit of a break moving through Philadelphia. Not so lucky down the shore. Here comes another wave all the way from Toms River through Atlantic City, all the way down to Sea Isle City. We're looking at that, and we've already seen some localized flooding on those low-lying roads. They're closing the roads very quickly down the shore. Know that. We've been getting reports of that. Here's the center of the storm. It may landfall in Emerald Isle. It is now quickly moving to the north at 13 miles an hour, still 65-mile-an-hour winds. Yes, it's still a tropical storm, but it is now past New Bern and headed northward. So here's the track that we're going to be following with the storm. It looks like between now and very, very late tomorrow night, early Monday, it will start to downgrade. It'll be just tropical remnants, a tropical low as it passes us by the time that we get into late tomorrow night. Nonetheless, before that, we have all that wind, all that rain that'll be pushed in our area. Now, here's the concern. We have this storm warning along the shore. This is for the high surf. This is for the big swells. This is for that water that's going to be pushing in. And this is going to be through this evening. The tropical storm warnings go up and down the East Coast just south of Delaware. We also have these storm surge warnings, 2 to 4 feet above ground level for a lot of the Maryland beaches and shore areas. And for us, this is going to be 1 to 3 feet for all of our shore points in Delaware beaches. We have our coastal flood warning, all the areas in dark green. That is going to be a moderate to major, and at this point looks like a major flooding event with 1 to 3 feet above ground level of the surge and the flooding on top of the high tide. So between 2 and 3, it will peak this afternoon. We do have a high wind warning down the shore. We're looking at those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That has verified. And then everywhere in brown, we're looking at the wind advisory with 50-plus mile-an-hour wind gusts. Here's what we're expecting today. Travel delays on high. A lot of cancellations probably as well later. Power outages possible, especially closer to the shore because of the wind. We're looking at sports delayed or canceled. A lot of canceled there. And we are looking at flying debris with some of these wind gusts that are out there. Now we're going to talk about what's going on with the winds and with the rain amounts and what the track is with this thing. Andrew.
You know, Tim, we've already had the verification this morning, not even 10 o'clock yet, and many areas already had over 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and we've already had, on average, between 1 and 2 inches of rain. As we head into the heart of this afternoon, Tammie told you about that little break that we're having. Ross, thankfully, getting one near Wilmington. We're going to have another couple of rounds of heavy rain. When all is said and done, late Sunday night into Monday, an additional 2, 3, 4, even up to 5 inches of rain, heaviest of which, of course, will be across the Jersey Shore. There's the big picture right now. Already getting some of those storm reports in. So let's talk about them first. We've got that flooding risk. That's not just for the Jersey Shore. That's as far inland as Philadelphia. And that's going to be the marginal to slight, which is about a 2 out of 4. The further north and west you go, the better chances that you won't see the flooding. But we're still going to be looking at a moderate to heavy rain event for the Lehigh Valley. Let's talk about some of these reports that we're getting in. Some of those storm reports coming in from areas like Atlantic City over towards Strathmere. In Atlantic City, we've already had a station report about 10 to 8. 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Meantime, a little bit further back, we have a couple of other reports. This is going to be Strathmere near the Deauville Inn. We have 51-mile-per-hour winds. And then also over toward Avalon, we had the Townsend Inland Bridge closed to flooding. So this is what we're going to see here. A lot of those bridges that take you over to areas like Ocean City, Strathmere, you got to be really careful because we could have a lot of ponding flooding right as you get to either end of the bridges there. We may see some more closures as well. Also, areas like Sea Isle City getting in on some of that heavy rain. In fact, we're also already looking at winds in many cases 40, 50 miles per hour. Our futurecast for these wind gusts showing that we could have wind gusts anywhere between 50 and even up to 60 miles per hour before all is said and done tonight. Tomorrow's going to be kind of a breezy day as well. Some wind-driven rain, but we will start to see those winds subside. Take a look at some of the reports that we're getting in. Beach Haven coming in at 62-mile-per-hour wind gusts. These have been reported so far. Tuckerton 52. Sea Isle City. No Yum Yums ice cream for you today. Mike's Seafood over there by Fish Alley. If you ever go back there, by the way, 61-mile-per-hour winds. All the boats along those docks are right there. So no doubt every area is closed. Like by 41st, 42nd Street, Sea Isle City, 61-mile-per-hour wind gusts there right along the shore is a big deal. Today we make it to 62 degrees in Philadelphia, 68 at the shore, 58 in the Lehigh Valley, a wind-driven rain, Lehigh Valley. Let's take a look at that 7-day plan because it's not going to be that great tomorrow either, but you'll notice the wind subsiding. Monday, a scattered shower, especially the first half of the day. And while the next week coming up isn't perfect, it's much drier starting on Tuesday into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We even get back up into the 70s by late next week. Clouds, some sunshine, and temperatures overnight in the 50s. Guys?
Andrew, it's always a good day for ice cream, by the way.
I second that.
Stay with us here on CBS News Philadelphia.
We'll be back after a short break. We'll continue to track Ophelia, including the latest path for this storm, the damage reports, and the flooding reports as well. We'll back in just a few minutes. Sounding good. Anything indoors sounding good
Anything
today.
indoors.
This weekend for that
A
matter.
book, a movie, just cooking. You like cooking, I know that.
Do it and make sure you didn't forget any ingredients at the store.
That's right.
You don't want to head back out.
More ice cream, as we have learned,
Right.
that Andrew loves. Let's take a look at what's going on with the storm right now. We've had one heavy band of rain move through. You can see some breaks, especially across Delaware. Down the shore, you're getting a bit more rain, so just be aware of that. Now, I really want to widen this out so you can see. Yes, we'll get some breaks today, but look at the storm. It's down over North Carolina. It's going to start pushing that next band in, and as it approaches us, it'll pull more moisture in off of the Atlantic, and we'll have more bands of rain. Now, the other part of this is the wind gusts, right?
We, Tammie, have been talking about this all day, and then we've already had verification. I honestly thought maybe we would see this in a couple of hours.
I thought this afternoon,
Yeah.
and we're seeing flooding at low tide now.
Yeah, so this is another reason. Again, we're always here to prepare you, not scare you, but this is one of those things where you really need to make sure you're away from the water if you live near the shore, and make sure you just kind of stay inside today because we've already had gusts over 60 miles per per hour. Beach Haven 62, Sea Isle 61, and we're most likely going to see more gusts, especially across the Jersey Shore, over 60 miles per hour.
Yeah, and the thing is that we're going to feel this inland too. I mean, we're going to feel it in South Jersey, up and down the I-95 corridor, Philadelphia, Lower Bucks, Montgomery. It's not going to be as great as that, but we are going to feel it. So, Andrew, you've got the weekend covered.
It's not so great today, 62, heavy rain and wind. It's not great tomorrow either, but it's a little less on the windy side, 68. By the way, a lot of folks headed to the Irish Fall Festival in Wildwood. Saw some pictures. A lot of vendors didn't show up, so I can't tell you what to do, but as long as it's on, heed the warnings. Make sure you just give yourself plenty of time if you are traveling today, but if you don't need to travel, stay inside.
Mostly stay safe and common sense.
Yes. Yeah. Especially since we're already seeing flooding and some damage reports. Yeah. Be serious. All right, thanks, guys. That's CBS News Philadelphia for now, but the news is always online at cbsphiladelphia.com.
And CBS News Philadelphia continues to follow Tropical Storm Ophelia. We'll keep you up to date all throughout the day. Have a great day. Stay dry.
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. Tropical Storm Ophelia made landfall early this morning and throughout the day has slammed the East Coast with rain and strong winds. Now at 11, the latest on the storm's path and strength. And in our area, the Jersey Shore has faced the brunt of Ophelia so far, with flooded streets, high winds, and washed out weekend plans. Good evening, I'm Aziza Schuler. The storm roared ashore in North Carolina around 6:15 this morning. People in Belle Haven were some of the first to feel Ophelia's strength. Strong storm surge flooded this coastal town. Tens of thousands in the state are said to be without power tonight. Ophelia's effects are certainly being felt here at home. It's been a rainy, soaked Saturday from Center City to the Jersey Shore to Delaware. Some communities are being hit harder than others, but things seem to be improving. Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelly is with us tonight, and you have the latest, Bill.
Yeah, I do, and I want to tell you that the worst of this is done. That happened this morning where we saw these peak gusts up to 60+ miles per hour down our shore. But not like that anymore. So here is the latest, not only the latest update at 11 o'clock, the final update on this from the National Hurricane Center. Now post-tropical Ophelia, it's just south of Richmond by about 30 miles per hour, or 30 miles, I should say, spinning around with sustained winds at 35 miles per hour, gusts to 45, moving up to the north at 8. So in our area, notice as this is spinning around, there's still quite a bit of rain between where we are and where the heart of the storm is. But also notice that the green, the rain, is north of the center of circulation. You get south of it and there's not much rain. So all of this is happening out ahead of it. Once it crosses, that's when this will come to an end. And that's not going to occur until tomorrow evening. I mean, we still got quite a bit of rain in our area right now. It is hit and miss. Not all of you look out your window and see rainfall. Some of you have some breaks, but we do have pockets where it's a little heavier down here near Wildwood. You saw that video just at the top of the show with all that water going over the bank there. Down around Cape May County, you're dealing with some of the rain. Atlantic City, some light rain now, the heaviest of this into Burlington and Ocean County. And unlike our typical pattern where things move from the west to the east, all of this is moving from the east to the west. So we're dealing with some light rain right now around Philadelphia, southern Montgomery County, lower Montgomery and Bucks County. We're going to be dealing with more, and it's going to continue to roll through the overnight hours. And I'll walk you through your futurecast coming up in just a bit. I want to paint the scene here, though. Flood alerts, we have none in our area. We have a coastal flood advisory, but in terms of any flooding, we have none. Wind alerts. They've all been lifted too, so no alerts at this time. I'm not worried about anything of massive significance. Just continue to be impactful for you in the form of the rain and the wind and the chill. There's still some gusts out there up to 30, 35 miles per hour, 36 in Wilmington, and that's where we're going to be all night long. Coming up, I want you to stay tuned. I'll walk you through hour by hour so you can plan out your Sunday. And of course, when this all comes to an end, we'll look ahead to next week. We'll see you back here in just a few minutes, Aziza.
Thank you, Bill. The storm has impacted many events. That includes the annual Irish Weekend down the shore. CBS News Philadelphia reporter Marcela Bayeto has more from North Wildwood.
And even in the midst of all of this intense weather, that did lead to some cancellation and events having to be postponed. But that isn't stopping many people from still lining up and heading to the bars.
The downpours and strong winds from Ophelia led to flooded roads in North Wildwood. But while many streets were filled with water, Bars and restaurants were filled with people who came into town for the North Wildwood Irish Fall Festival.
50-mile-an-hour winds, and it's a little bit of rainy, but we're enjoying ourselves, and it's Irish weekend, so it's what we have to do.
Not holding me back, I don't care. Everybody's happy, they're having a great time. The weather's not bothering anybody.
On 2nd Avenue, large waves came crashing onto the street as the mayor of North Wildwood urged caution in a statement posted on Facebook. He said, "Please do not go anywhere near the ocean. There are extremely large and dangerous waves hitting the beach and seawall." Many were disappointed after organizers made the decision to cancel Saturday's festival activities and Sunday's parade.
That's sad. I love the parade. Love it. There's always next year.
But the change in plans didn't stop people from celebrating. In fact, it even brought back memories of Ireland for some.
This is like Ireland. Right.
Yep. Hey, I can stand it.
And according to festival organizers, the mass will still be scheduled for Sunday, but vendors and any food trucks, that might be postponed depending on the rain on Sunday. In North Wildwood, Marcella Bayeto, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Oh, Marcella, it's a lot going on out there. Well, many streets in Sea City were underwater today. We saw some drivers turning around to avoid the water. Others took their chances and drove right through flooding. Our Madeline Wright has more from Seattle.
The wind was howling as Ophelia hit the Jersey Shore. Sarah Todd splashed along 42nd Street and Central Avenue to move her car to higher ground.
It's crazy. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be this bad.
Some cars plowed through the floodwaters, but other roads were impassable. Sea City police blocked off Townsend's Inlet Bridge because of flooding on the Avalon side. In the distance, you could see waves crashing over the roadway.
It's really bad timing for us because this is our girls' weekend getaway that we do every year.
Kelly O'Leary and her friends came from Bucks County, hoping for a nice day at the beach.
We're the only idiots who came down for the weekend knowing the weather forecast.
Down at the beach, flags whipped in the wind. The waves were full of whitecaps as powerful waves crashed against the shoreline. Officials are worried about beach erosion. Residents tell me normally at high tide, you'd have to walk 20 yards to get to the beach, but now the waves are right up against the dunes.
We were actually on the bay just a couple minutes ago, and it was more wild down there. Like we just got soaked. So this is like calm.
Many residents like Leo Fontana spent the day hunkering down at home. He's concerned about the storm's economic impact here and in nearby Wildwood, where a big event was planned.
I think it's a shame for Irish weekend. There's a lot of businesses, a lot of loss of money, a lot of action that could have been here. It's usually a fun weekend.
This is another car that's driving through the floodwaters here at 42nd Street and Central Avenue, something that officials urge people not to do. Turn around, don't drown. It could take hours before this floodwater recedes. In Sea City, Madeline Wright, CBS News, Philadelphia.
That's right. Turn around, don't drown. In Cape May, several roads, including Washington and Grant Streets, experienced minor flooding. At Swain's Hardware, people came in all day buying flashlights, batteries, and bungee cords to tie down outdoor items. It was also busy at Harry's Ocean Bar and Grill. They had to move an outdoor wedding inside their dining room while moving all their reservations to a covered patio. And the storm didn't stop a couple from enjoying the town.
The water is especially rough, this wind whipping around. You know, we were playing mini golf just down the street and the balls were getting pushed around by the wind. You know, that was fun.
This is the best I've ever parked. I've been here for years as a teenager. I'm like, this is the only time we'll ever get this spot out here. It's when it's pouring out like this. So if you want to come to the boardwalk, it's all closed, but you'll get great parking.
Well, of course it is. Today, the Cape May Ferry canceled all trips because of the rough waves. Tonight, residents are back in their homes in Yeadon after a gas leak and power outage forced an evacuation during the storm. A tree fell onto power lines on the 500 block of Lansdowne Avenue. It happened around 12:30 this afternoon. Authorities evacuated the Grace Court apartments and a nursing home. No one was injured. Ophelia is impacting air travel up and down the coast. According to the airport's website, Philadelphia International has reported dozens of delays today. A lot of the flights have been impacted. We're headed to destinations along the East Coast. JFK Airport in New York was also reporting a lot of delays today. The ponchos and blankets were out at Citizens Bank Park this afternoon. Despite the day's wet and windy weather, the Phillies took to the diamond to host the Mets. And they squeezed in all 9 innings, getting the win before some rain moved right back into our area. Pat Gallen will be joining us to recap today's ball game in South Philly coming up. Still ahead tonight, we are keeping an eye on Ophelia. The now tropical depression is still causing problems. Next, how some are trying to make the best of their rained out vacations. A next weather alert is in effect tonight as we continue to track Ophelia. The storm made landfall this morning, and as you can see on the next weather radar, it's bringing a lot of rain to our region, especially to the Jersey Shore. Streets flooded in Stone Harbor. Rescue crews had to help some drivers from their vehicles after they became stuck in the floodwaters. And a coastal flood advisory remains in effect as Ophelia stirs up the Atlantic. The waves crashed over the seawall here in Avalon this afternoon. Ophelia is ruining vacations in Ocean City, Maryland. Take a look. The storm caused flooding near the boardwalk this afternoon. Rain has been pounding the city all day. It's very windy. Surprisingly, Wayne Klockner says the bad weather is a good time for bird watching.
A Wilson storm petrel that normally is way out at sea, but with these strong easterly winds coming off the ocean, sometimes they can show up right here along the coast. That's what we're looking for, those birds that the storm has blown up against the coastline.
So far, there have not been any reports of wind damage to businesses. The whipping winds and rain in Monmouth County, New Jersey didn't scare everyone away. CBS New York's John Elliott spoke to some residents who were on the beach in Long Branch. One of them said they loved running in the rain on the beach.
It was one of those weekends. It was just forecasted to rain all weekend, and I woke up this morning and I was like, I just want to run in the rain. You know, I don't want to sit inside all weekend long. So this is my adventure for the weekend.
Some people dance in the rain, others run in the rain. Ophelia made landfall as a tropical storm this morning. It is now considered a tropical depression. Running in the rain.
Running in the rain.
Imagine him getting sick. I'm sorry. Like a cold,
especially dressed like that, right?
Yeah.
Or not dressed, I suppose. Yeah. So the good news is this storm is winding down. It's not over yet. We still have impacts that are going to be, affecting you. But man, it's not like it was earlier. In fact, I want to start you out with the peak wind gusts around the area. Look at some of these totals, some of these numbers. 62-mile-per-hour wind gusts at Beach Haven. Wow, LBI today. Sea Isle City at 61 miles per hour. Seaside Heights at 51. Same thing with Atlantic City. Wilmington, you guys had a 43-mile-per-hour gust here in Philly, a 39-mile-per-hour wind gust. And tonight, while it's still breezy, I mean, look, Wilmington, you guys have a gust of wind outside at 36. It's not like it was earlier, and I do not expect those numbers to get back into the 50 and 60 mile per hour territory, even down the shore. But it will stay busy when it comes to the wind speeds throughout the day tomorrow, just on the breezes when we're looking at that. So here's a look at Atlantic City. The water, all the water has been pushed up, of course. We're not around high tide. High tide comes back again in several hours from now, and then, of course, again tomorrow afternoon. Bethlehem, I was looking, trees moving around a little bit, but not bad. Wet roads for you folks. Here's where the wind's moving a little bit in Italian Market. You can see that people are cruising on out tonight. So your forecast over the area. What we've been dealing with the last couple of hours is what we will continue to deal with, and that is off and on rain down to 60 degrees here in Philly. Only got to 63, by the way, today. That's where we should be on October 28th. That's our normal high temperature. 66 down the shore tonight, 56 Lehigh Valley. And then tomorrow, what we're looking at is another day that's going to be filled with off and on rain showers. Right now, those rain showers are primarily, or at least the heaviest, I should say, in South Jersey. But we're also tracking them moving across to Lancaster County and Berks County as well. Now, futurecast, as we go through the overnight hours, let me stop this tomorrow morning if you have any morning plans. There's going to be areas of rain, and there's going to be pockets that we don't have rain. It's going to be that off and on pattern all day long. Kate's actually in tomorrow morning for Tammie. She's going to be walking you through all this, of course. Then Andrew will be in tomorrow evening. But look at this. Here's noon. We're tracking the rain moving through our area. rumble of thunder, not out of the question like we had today in certain spots. You folks in Burlington County had some of that, but not widespread thunder and lightning. Just moderate to heavy rainfall. And then also notice that our winds here, these little lines, if you could see them, our winds are going to switch direction, and our winds will start breezy, but then calm down as the actual center of circulation, the low itself, moves through. But it's really not for another 24 hours. That's what this map is showing you, that we start to get rid of this thing. By the time we get to Monday morning, most of this should lift to the north, and then we start to improve with some morning showers. So your day tomorrow, off and on rain. We'll have the breezes there. The winds won't be as strong as today, but it's not going to be a wind-free day. There will be times later in the day that the winds calm, which is nice, but only 68 degrees. A little warmer than today, but still way below normal for this time of year, which is up in the mid-70s. So today is the first day of fall, and it's coming in very, very fall-like. We're drying things out for Tuesday. And as we look ahead, come midweek and then going to the end of the week and into the weekend, it's looking great. Very comfortable conditions with temperatures back into the mid-70s. You know, all day, starting with this morning, we were here, team coverage. We were updating our blog all night long. If you haven't gone to our website yet, cbsphiladelphia.com/weather, I encourage you to do that. Download the app because we also stream everything, including our newscast, live. And we did all those cut-ins today as well. Over to you guys. Hey, real quick, so here's the latest post-tropical Ophelia. There will be no more updates from the National Hurricane Center. It's basically a strong area of low pressure moving at 8 miles per hour to the north. 35 mile per hour sustained winds. Not as windy tomorrow, but it is going to be rainy and chilly kind of off and on all day long. You'll have periods where it's dry, periods where it's raining, but it's doubtful that you see any sunshine tomorrow. It's going to be a cloudy, kind of raw day.
Well, we still will hit 74. That's not bad.
Down the shore, that's not. We're going in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, that's it for us at 11 for Bill, Pat, and everyone here. Thanks for watching. Remember, we're always on at cbsphiladelphia.com. Have a good night.
See ya.